for now, we've opened a new chapter in the discourse surrounding this particular impasse. And we do believe that this whole transaction process has and will and is bound to assume a new complexion going forward.
What's up? My name is Ken Bimbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JCOO.
Pretoria last week halted funeral plans after the Zambian government launched a legal bid to block the ceremony. Weeks after his death on June 5, Lungu's final resting place remains unresolved. Cornelius Mweetwa is the Minister of Information and Media in Zambia and joins us now via video link. Minister Mweetwa, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
Good evening, Clement, and thank you for having me on the program.
So, since the court ruling, when you successfully interdicted those funeral plans, have you, as the Zambian government, had any meetings with the former president's family to try and find some common ground?
Well, I would like to place on record here that at the time of that decision by the courts, the government for the Republic of Zambia has moved on in line with the desires of the people of Zambia, and also, I believe, the people of the region, particularly also the people of South Africa, as represented by the two ministers of South Africa, the minister in the office of the presidency and the foreign affairs minister, who expressed their desire that this matter be resolved expeditiously and amicably, taking advantage of this window of opportunity that has been created by this court action, whose return date is 4th of August 2025. The government of the Republic of Zambia, acting through the Attorney General, who is a government lawyer, and through their lawyers in South Africa, has commenced correspondence between the two parties by way of the two parties' lawyers beginning to exchange communication with a view to having this matter settled ex curia in a manner that is amicable and expeditious and in line with the wishes of the people of Zambia, the majority of them, and the desires of the government of the Republic of Zambia by President Hakainde.
Yeah. What are you willing to compromise on as the government of Zambia, as you say that discussions will begin with various parties so that the matter can be resolved expeditiously in an amicable manner, but the family still to be standing on their position that if ever they would even agree for the former Zambian president to be buried in Zambia, they wouldn't want President Hichilema to preside over the funeral. Is that something you're willing to compromise on as the Zambian government, or is that a red line that you're not willing to cross?
Well, for now, we've opened a new chapter in the discourse surrounding this particular impasse. And we do believe that this whole transaction process has and will and is bound to assume a new complexion going forward, given the views of the citizens of Zambia, the views of the leadership, for Zambia, their desires that the former president for the Republic of Zambia be buried home in line with the precedents and tradition that we have set ourselves, like the 5 former presidents of Zambia who have passed on, have all been buried at the presidential burial site, which is an important place for us as citizens for Zambia, given its present and historical importance going forward as a symbol of national identity and unity going forward. So regarding the question of a particular demand, presently we hold the view that that will be subject of discussion, given that we as government now are pushing in the direction of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, and respondences have already been exchanged as between the two parties' lawyers, signifying commencement of a new process, which it is hoped can bring this matter finality and closure before the court can return to its adjudication, something we believe is going to give more integrity and credibility that as a people, when confronted with a problem, we are capable of analyzing that problem in terms of prescribing solutions that should be the result of a convergence of consensus as a people, and not just the court prescribing what they believe is right for us, notwithstanding that presently is also still in force.
Yeah, so what was the, because from what I've picked up, at least from my understanding from the family side, is that there was never truly enough support from government when the former president was sick, even when he had to be transported to South Africa for medical treatment. So they're surprised that suddenly the government of Zambia is willing to avail a private jet to then take the remains of the former president to be buried in Zambia. They've raised issues around his presidential benefits having been revoked as well. What's your explanation on that as the government of Zambia?
Well, I would like to place on record that the former president, Zambia's sixth president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, resigned from active politics on the 26th of August 2021 upon transition of power to the new administration of President Hakainde Hichilema. And from that date to the 28th of October 2023, he was a former president. And in terms of the former president's benefits act, chapter 15 of the laws of Zambia, at section 4, there is a conferment of entitlements that the law creates and grants to a former president to enjoy in retirement, such as transport, security, office space. It is a whole list of those entitlements to make comfortable the stay of a former president so that they can live a dignified life as somebody who served their country at that higher level. Now, once the former president announced on the 28th of October 2023 his decision to return to active politics, then that, by operation of law, triggered the requirement that in terms of the Secretary to Cabinet, who is the head of the civil service, by 3rd of November, did write to the former president indicating his new status in relation to the enjoyment of those benefits that are a conferment of law and not those who are in office, and that those entitlements cannot be taken away by any leaders presently in government at the behest of their whims and caprices or choice. They are a provision of the law as by law established. So once, therefore, you return to active politics, the same law in terms of Section 5 of the former President's Benefit Act, Chapter 15 of the laws of Zambia, dictate that you forfeit those particular entitlements from enjoying them. And that is exactly what turned out to be. And I would like to indicate here that this is not the first time that we have seen a former president actually go into retirement of politics, enjoy those benefits, and upon return to active politics, forfeit those benefits. That is exactly what transpired with the former president, the late Rupiah Panda, when his party then, the MMD, announced him as coming back to active politics. The former administration of the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu announced to the nation that by operation of the law in terms of former President's Benefit Act, those entitlements that were being enjoyed by the former president had to be taken away in recognition and pursuant of the application of the law to the latter. So this particular matter is pretty precedented. And I must also here indicate that former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu has set a precedent in this country that since independence, we have had 6, former presidents in terms of the numbers of those who have graced that high office. In terms of those who have outlived their presidents in office, he is the very first and only one this far to have lived and now sadly, passed on with his presidential immunity against persecution intact. Okay. The current president, President Edej, had to take this in his stride and in keeping with national interest to ensure that the nation turned a new page away from the ceremony that each time you change, a party in government, then the former president becomes now a regular guest at police stations or courts. Former President Edgar Lungu never was called by police, not even through a call out. He never went to any police station for investigations or inquiries. He never went to any government security agency for interviews. He never pressed any courts of law. Him and him alone, in line with the law conferred to him in terms of presidential immunity, which is Article 98 of the Republic of Zambia. He has enjoyed his immunity to the latter. I can now say that many citizens actually are shocked by some of the permutations and assertions that have been given out there by our colleagues, particularly to the international media. That is the reason why when you check, when they come back home, they rarely engage the media because they know that back home, people know that the misinformation they've been challenging out there cannot be sustained at home.
I got it. Thank you so much. We're out of time, but I appreciate you making time for us this evening on Face the Nation. That's Cornelius Mweetwa, the Minister of Information and Media in Zambia, joining us via video link. It's quite a tricky one because what trumps what, right? You've got government that believes, well, public interest trumps family's interest because the family says, but what if we're acting on the wishes of the former president?
Video. Thanks for tuning in to JQ News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on tech, politics, and everything in between. Until next time, stay cool.